Monster Hunter Rise was provided to me free of charge from Capcom Asia for the purpose of this review. No payment has been received at all and no agreements have been made for favourable comments. If you sit through this video to the end, this should be very obvious. G'day everyone, Lucas here from the Aussie Games Experience, and today I am taking a look at the most recent entry in the Monster Hunter series, and that would be Monster Hunter Rise. If you're here for a good time, then click the like button, and if you're here for a long time, then poke that subscribe button. If you want both, then I think it's obvious what you need to do. This has to be one of the hardest reviews I have ever attempted to make. Now the reason why that is so is because, well, I believe that a good review explains why a game is good or bad, regardless of the reviewer's personal opinion. I'll tell you my full honest opinion at the end of this video. This is my first time entering into the world of Monster Hunter. Not just Monster Hunter Rise, Monster Hunter. I know very well of its existence, but I have never tried any of the games preceding this one. Monster Hunter Rise is an action RPG game that was originally released in March of 2021, exclusive though to the Nintendo Switch. It's only just now been released on PC. Okay, so now let's get brutally honest with Monster Hunter Rise. If you're like me and spend most of your time playing big AAA games in the mainstream, you're probably gonna find Monster Hunter Rise to be somewhat of a culture shock. Here's a list of the things that I noticed immediately that were kind of foreign to me. Well, the first on the list is that the voice acting is quite sparse. Now, I know a lot of games tend to do this, mostly the smaller budget games, but it just feels a little bit disjointed in a game these days. Early on, the dialogue is fully voiced, but it doesn't take long until those lines shrink down to simple grunts and quips, with the slack taken up with the screen text dialogue boxes. And of those, there are many.
Yup. Great job.
The second thing is that the missions take place on isolated maps that are separate from Hub World and each other by some sort of like portal, and they're accompanied by a loading screen. Now the load times are reasonable, but they're still unexpected in the age of SSDs and large VRAM buffers. The third thing that I have listed down is the control scheme. It's far from intuitive. Now, I didn't attempt to use keyboard and mouse, instead opting for the more palatable Xbox One controller, and even after a couple of hours of playing, I'm still finding myself using health potions when I'm trying to attack an enemy. Look, maybe I'm an idiot, or maybe there's something in the game design that deserves more of the blame, but look, yeah, maybe it's just because I'm an idiot. Now the last thing I've listed here, number 4, is a lack of direction due to an overload of requirements. Early on, I was lost for how to play. Hell, I'm sure I still don't know exactly what the game wants me to do now, or what I should hold off on doing until I'm stronger. I started what I thought was an easier beginner's mission to find myself wailing on the monster for about an hour with no obvious indication that I was making any progress. I know it was kind of stupid to keep doing the same thing for an hour with no progress, but I thought maybe I was just underpowered and eventually I would get somewhere. To those that are familiar with Monster Hunter games, this is likely a bread and butter kind of thing, but for me and the uninitiated, I was lost and confused. Now, among the negativity, I have to say that the combat in Monster Hunter Rise is interesting. There's a lot of strategy required to take down these wild yet strangely innocent, majestic creatures. You need to know when to sheath your weapons, to use potions or the sharpening whetstones, and you need to know when to strike without getting knocked to the ground yourself. It's a ballet of movement coupled with a jester's juggling act, but if you take the time to learn the lay of the land, you can pull off some pretty efficient takedowns. Well, I seriously mean you probably could, because I definitely couldn't. To put it simply, Monster Hunter Rise is a niche game that seems to hit the spot for people who instantly fall in love with each iteration of the series. After the hours that I've put into Monster Hunter Rise, I can absolutely see the attraction. After all, you do get to battle larger than life monsters, and in Rise you can even get to ride some of them. Monster Hunter Rise is an amazing addition to the series for the right players. If you have the patience to nut out the intricacies of how the plethora of weapons work with what situations and what elements to use and when, then you're likely going to have a great time with Rise, as it seems to be a real hit within the community. For others though, that means me, this experience is going to be a chore. Not just Rise, but the Monster Hunter series as a whole. From my research, most of the Monster Hunter series follow the same mechanics, save for a few new features to help keep the games fresh. For example, Rise introduces the wire bug, which is a movement mechanic allowing more freedom than ever before and even adds an element of verticality. Is verticality actually a word? Because my Word document is underlining it in red for some reason. I thought it was a word, I don't know. For me, Monster Hunter Rise is a chore to play. I think I've said that already, but whatever. After researching the game, it would appear that not all players feel this way. After all, why would there be so many releases of a game that wasn't any good? So the thing here is that it is not a bad game, but it's definitely not a game for me, and I'm a 30-something-year-old father that works full-time and manages to cram in hours of gaming whenever I can. It's a sad moment in time when I have to put myself on record claiming that I don't really like a game, but alas, that time is here. So for anyone that thinks their gaming habits and lifestyles might be similar to mine, take a good minute to decide on this game. For those of you that love what you've seen here today, then full steam ahead and dig in. Well, that is all I have for you today. So thank you very much for sticking through the video to the end. I appreciate it immensely. Don't forget to click that like button and also the subscribe button for more from myself and the HXP. However, until next time, I am Lucas, and I will see ya!